Hi everybody, welcome to part 5 of our Tamiya Challenger Mk3 from emodels.co.uk with Ted here doing the build. You left us on the last video as I was putting the final touches to building some of these baskets that will eventually go onto the side of the turret. They're now done, they're all dried, ready to go. What we're going to do in this video is to look at putting some of the detail parts on top of the turret. We're getting towards the end of this build, which has been a fantastic build. It's been a really good kit, no real major issues in it at all, a really easy kit to go together. We'll look at putting the final touches on and getting it all ready for paint really. This episode, as well, as apart from putting this on, I'll show you how to add a little bit of an extra finish to it. Putting some texture onto the turret and to the hull itself, and I'll also show you how to build one or two of the other little bits and pieces. While you have been away, and after I'd finished the turret baskets, I have gone on and added some of the extra details to the turret itself, such as the grease gun here, the orange flashing light, and one or two of the bits and pieces of detail which really are simple enough to do just by following the instructions, and I'm sure you didn't want to just watch the back of my head as I stuck these on. One thing I will point out, once again, as I said before, when you were building the hull of the tank, you really need your tweezers once again. There are a couple more fiddly pieces such as the viewing scopes here, and this little wire frame on the back basket on the rear turret, on the rear of the turret, is a little bit fiddly. Just need to take your time, just watch what you're doing. I haven't glued the gun in yet. I've left that separate. As I said, we need to spray it probably a little bit on its own. One thing I will mention, when it goes together, when it's dried, have a look along the top of the turret of the gun itself, and you will find that there could be a little bit of just a bit of a seam line just runs along there. It will spoil the look of your tank if you're once you've sprayed it, and if you leave that a little bit proud, it'll spoil it a little bit. Not really noticeable. It does fit together quite well. It's just that if it's happened to have slipped a little bit, or you haven't got it quite lined up, could be a little ridge there which just needs a little file off. Remember your little emery sticks that we made right in the start, just file them off gently, don't put any flats in it. It has got a thermal sleeve on the turret, so it doesn't need to be particularly smooth. You can hide it in the material. As I said, just take your time, get rid of the seam line, and you'll be ready to paint. So we can put that to the side. And the turret, the hull itself, nothing else has been done on that since we last left you. That's all finished. That can go to the side as well. We can concentrate ourselves on looking after this turret. A couple of things to go on the front here are the smoke discharges. There's one on each side. I've already taken the time and built one of these. They are a little bit fiddly, lots of small parts in them, but if you remember right back in the first video, if you look back, if you haven't seen it, have a look back and watch it. One of the recommendations I made there was to get yourself a little bit of blue tack, put it on your bench, and then find the parts that you need. Place the parts in the blue tack, find my knife wherever it's gone, and just cut the parts off. That way they won't fly across the rim. These are quite tiny. 5 of them to come off. 5 of the smoke discharges. There we go. Just take them out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we are. Another smoke discharges there. Now then, this is the mount for them. This little piece here, drops it. This is a mount for them. Now if you try to put your glue on there, put your discharger onto the mount itself, it'll fall about all over. So once again the blue tack comes into play, that goes in there. Take your mount, push it in, and ready to go. Let's glue these on. Sometimes it's just a bit fiddly just to get them in. There we are. Mount itself nice and firm just in there. We can just glue and touch them on. It'll take long to go together. It's amazing what you can do with blue tack. Even the camera that I'm filming this with is held on my tripod with a big wad of blue tack. Stick anything. Let's turn it round just to see what we can do. And the final one. Just on there. Just line them all up. You'll find the wheels just sit. There's a little locating pin just on the mount itself. Little hole at the back of the smoke discharger. There we are, we have it done. Now then, whilst I was looking through my volume of pictures on the Challenger tank, I did notice that this particular part is really a little bit incorrect. The smoke discharger itself is actually welded to a bracket which is then welded to the hull. The moulding itself is solid. If we can take this one out gently, just while the glue's going off. If you can see on there, where's my pointer? Something to point it out. If you can see on there, the bracket itself is actually solid, which is incorrect for this discharger. If we look at a photo I have of the actual discharger, here we go, see here, it actually has a little slot. The bracket itself is actually slotted. So all I've done with the one I've already made is just taken a file to it and cut out a little slot. Doesn't make much of a difference, you don't have to do it, just I saw it, thought I'd do it. That's the sort of thing that once you get your photographs of your tank, doing your research, as I mentioned right back at the start in the first video, doing your research, getting your photographs of the tank, you can pick out those finer details. It all helps, it's all part of the fun, just to research your subject and pick out the bits and pieces that you want. Now then, I don't know if you can really see on this photograph here, but the whole tank, all the horizontal surfaces are actually textured. It's got a non-slip texture on the all the surfaces that you would walk on. Shortly in this video I'll show you how we can achieve that. Once again, you don't have to do it, but just something just to add a little bit to your model, just to make it that little bit different. So right, we've got the smoke dischargers done there. We'll put them to one side because that one needs just filing yet, so we'll leave that. And this one, I think we can actually, this was done yesterday so it's all hard now, this can actually be put in position. So we find its position on the tank. There's a little gap just in there to locate it to. our liquid poly in there. Just a piece, some poly on the mating surfaces on the back of the smoke discharger. And in it goes, just clips in there. I understand the way these smoke dischargers work is that they're actually a canister that slides into them, and then they're fired electronically. So it's a little bit like a flare gun, I would suggest. That a smoke canister goes in, the electric charge triggers a system and fires out a big cloud of smoke. 5 of them that side, 5 of them that side. That's a huge amount of smoke. Hopefully disguises the tank, gives it enough time to get out of sight of the enemy. However, from a person that I do know that did used to work on the Challenger, he tells me that they were also the right size just to fit a can of beer in each. So that's a 12 pack. 10 pack, that's 10 cans of beer, 5 on each side. Why they would want to do that, I've no idea. There, that's that fitted on there. Let's have a look at the next part. Okay, we get to our instructions. I think now's the time that we've got these baskets built. Working on part on section 20. Some of these parts I've already placed in position and glued them all in. What we can do now, we've got that smoke discharger on at the front, we can have a look at putting the front basket on, the one that would usually hold the camouflage net. I did find as well that I actually, when I first saw these nets, I actually thought that the netting on them was actually a sort of a string bag type effect, but looking at the pictures I have, they're actually a welded mesh, so they're quite substantial net. Just line that up, get our glue and just run the glue along there. Along that, all the mating surfaces, just run the glue in and the capillary action will suck it in and bond it all together. Hold it on. Remember, we are building the NATO version, not much different to the desert version, just with the desert version you add a few more or differing parts and leave a few off. Just be conscious and remember to read the instructions. Just concerning which parts you do and don't want. Okay, that's looking about right. That's just leave that to settle. On this one here, now there's no actual locating part on this, but it does show just in here that the front of this net overlaps a little bit and it can't go any further back than this part here. So I would put that tight against there, tight against that part. That's part B87. I'd put the basket hard up against that, flush with the bottom, which should give you the right position. Try and hold it in with your thumb. If you can't quite get hold of it, just a bit of sticky tape on it, that'll hold it, and then apply the glue. Okay, as the glue grabs it, I'm just trying to keep it in shot and keep my hands out of the way so you can see what's going on. It's amazing, each time you add another piece, you add another part, you take it off the sprue, you add it to your model, the whole thing starts to come to life. There, that's going off. Right, we'll leave that to set. Let's put that to one side. What we're going to look at to do now is the loader's hatch. That's this part here. Now there's an option, there's a couple of options you can do. You can either put it on as it is from the part. Here we are. Here it is. You can either put it straight on, leave it, or you can have the option of having it open. And because of that option of having it open, Tamiya have actually put the detail on the inside. There's a little cushion pad on each side of the hatch and the locking mechanism for bolting it down, for closing down. What I think I'll do, I'm going to put this on in the open position, but leave it so that it gives me the option of actually closing it. I don't know whether it'll work, but we'll find the parts. We're looking for parts A22. Let's have a look. We'll find the hinges. Alright, there's the hinges for one side, and on the other sprue there's two A sprues. Remember how we spoke at the beginning again? We'll just recap as we go through that we spoke about all the sprues are lettered. These are sprues A with the letter A in the corner, and each part's numbered after that, so we want parts 22 off both of the sprues. Let's have a look. Okay, back to our bits of blue tack. Find a big knife for cutting things off with. And on the other part. Now then, trying these on the hinge of the unit itself, on the hinge of the hatch, they do fit. Obviously they do fit, and it is quite a loose fit. Now whether or not this works, I don't really know, but we'll try. Now then, to cut the hatch, to cut styrene or plastic, the hatch itself is moulded in with a line down the middle. Now then, what you need to do is you need to get your knife, don't cut it straight through, just score it. You can't keep scoring it like that. Once on one side, just let the knife follow the line. Don't try and press, just let the knife follow the line and make its own way through. Score it and it'll come into two parts. Now then, we've got to remember which side was which. So that's the rear. If you look at the two parts now, the rear section has the two raised, here we go, the rear section of the hatch has the two raised pimples on it, so that will be the rear section. Put them down on the board and we'll get them mixed up, and obviously there's the other one. Right, what I'm going to try and do is drop this in, drop one side of the hinge in and glue it in position. Trying not to get any glue oops, that's not a good start, is it? Where's it gone? Lost it. Oh, there it is. It's because it's got glue on it, it's just tacked itself in. Right, we're trying not to get any glue within the hinge part itself, and hopefully if it works we'll have the hatch and the ability to open and close it. That's one side. Do the front as well. I think this is easiest to drop it in and then apply the glue. Drop it there. Just check my video just to make sure you can see what I can see. And then you can't see inside, just drop some in. Just drop some glue on the hinges in there. Okay. So we're looking for the right way around. The padding, the little bits in there that indicate the padding obviously goes on the inside. And the second hinge has been lost again. There it is on the bench. Take your time with it. I'm trying to do it so that you can see what I'm doing. Just get a feel for it. It's in the right position. And just a touch, the slightest touch of glue just in there. It'll fill its way into the gap. Once again, try not to get any into the hinge section itself. Okay, it's going to need a little time to go off. I'll leave it in the open position because that's what I want. Then if I have actually caught the hinge with some of the glue, it's in the position that I want it to be anyway. It's just a nice little extra if you can open and close them. Try this on the front. Once again, make sure you've got the hatch the right way around, inside the right way. Touch your glue on that. Leave the hatch in the open position. and hopefully once the glue goes off, that's that piece done. Right, seems to be working. Right, we really need to leave this now, not mess with it, just put it to one side, and we can look at doing some of the other sub-assemblies that go on the side. Okay, let's put that there, let's put that to one side, and we'll look at what else we've got. The other part is, if I can find it, is this part. This is a telemetry cable reel. It goes onto one of the side bins on the tank. Just try and find the right side. I think that's it there. It will actually eventually fit just on there like that. Can you see that? Now then, to me, something like that looks a little bit bland, plain and unfinished. Would be really nice if Tamiya or something did something actually to go on it. So there's a couple of things you can do with it. One is drop it on the floor. It's recovered. The other is leave it as it is and just glue it and be happy. Or you can have a hunt round and you can fill it up. What I could suggest with this is that you add to it some fuse wire, some very fine fuse wire, wound it around. I believe the real thing's got about 2 kilometres of wire on it, so picture the poor guy. It's for setting up a command system between an operations post and the tank itself. There's 2 kilometres of cable, so picture the poor guy that first of all has to walk 2 miles taking it out and then walk 2 miles back to the tank. Let's clear some of these things off. So I decided to fill this and I can't find a decent length of fuse wire. However, hunting around in the wife's sewing box, I found some white cotton. This is actually embroidery cotton, and I think it's just about right. So we'll tie a little bit of a knot in it. Over there like that. No, my knots are not good enough. It's a little bit of detail like this that you can add, don't have to, just something to make your model different from everybody else's. Add the extra detail. This whole kit can in fact be enhanced if you decide that you like it, you want to move on and do some more advanced modelling. This whole kit can actually be enhanced by aftermarket parts available online. Have a word with the guys at eModels, they may help you out, point you in the right direction. They're always worth a phone call, really helpful fellas over there. Modelers themselves, so they know what you're talking about. And you can really make the Tamiya kit into a very nice, although it's nice as it is, you can really make it into a very nice and highly detailed model. Now, that was a bit of a fiddle, but here we go. Right, now we need to wind. I don't think we're going to wind 2 kilometres on this, but seems to me, no, just can't get this knot right. haven't told the wife I've got her embroidery cotton. She'd probably kill me. But when you become a modeller, you have an eye for everything. You'll always find something somewhere around the house, around the garden. You'll go in the shops. That'll come in handy. There we go. Fills it up. It's white at the moment, but I think that once we get some paint on it, paint it black, filled up. Don't be too, if you do decide to do this and do it with cotton, don't be too fussy about getting it all lined up. Give it a bit of an unevenness about it, and then when the paint goes on, it'll look a bit more realistic. No, that'll do. I think if we get it to the edge, put it right down, it'll hold itself in and won't need any glue. Tuck that in there, and then by the time we've got some glue on that, sorry, not glue, some paint on that, it'll be ready. Can't find the basket where there it is. There's the bin. That's the side bin that goes on there, and this piece, this cable reel, will now sit on the back of there. Okay, like so that's all the sub-assemblies done now. There's the telemetry cable reel stuck to the inside of that basket. The commander's cupola, I think that's how you pronounce it, cupola, has been completed on the same basis that we did the loader's hatch, being careful to put the hinges on and give us the option of the open and closing commander's hatch. I did notice in the instructions that the commander's day and night vision sight, it does give instructions that you can slide a small piece of the provided perspex in there to provide the lens for the sight. I've in fact put the cover on it in the closed position, really just to make life simpler for when we come to paint, and it's something else that we don't need to mask off. However, this part here, I'll only be fixing it, I won't actually be gluing it on right now. I'll just fix it in place maybe with some white glue just to hold it. Then we can paint or spray everything, the colours the finished colours that we want, and then we can take it off and we can deal with the 9 commanders lenses that are around the cupola. They can go on there. All that's left to go on that will be the machine gun and some ammunition boxes. Once again, they'll be left separate and painted separately and then attached at the final fitting. The rest of it has all gone together very well. There's the thermal imaging housing, which will go on there. A few baskets to go all around, and the smoke discharges. Remember we did these earlier. Cut the little slot out on the edge, and they can be all fixed in position. And that, I think, will be about it. So let's get on with this. It won't take us too long to do because we do have everything ready. Find the brush. It's really all coming together now. Oops, it falls off. Let's find it again. Just hold it in place. Drop of glue on everything. Secret with any modelling is don't rush it, take your time. It's for your enjoyment, you relax, make the most of it. I stuck, whilst we were waiting for the glue to dry and other bits and pieces, I glued this container on the side of the turret. The next part is this what looks to me like a radio box. There's a radio antenna on top here. I will show you just before everything's finished finally how to put the radio antennas on. I've got a short real easy fix for this. You will see in the instructions it does give you instructions of how to stretch some sprue, the traditional way of making radio antennas. However, I've found a much easier, cheaper way and a great supply of radio antennas to last you probably the rest of your modelling career. This little basket now is going to fit onto there. Moving round to the front. This is the optical imaging device. I think it's part of what they call the TOGS. TOGS is thermal observation and a gunnery sight. In here is a large image intensifier. I understand that it's so large it's actually water cooled. There's a door on the front of there that slides open and exposes the optical imaging system. Move around to the other side. That part to go in there. And that fixes there. Really looking quite military-like now. Lots of kit, and finally there's another holder for the water barrels, water containers. You will see in the kit, you'll see there's a number of fuel cans, and there's also some water cans. You can see the difference in them. There is a little bit of a difference. They look sort of the same, but if you look closely, one's actually marked water, and they're actually a plastic container as opposed to the standard jerry can, which is the metal. There, that's I think everything that we need to do. As I said, just fix that one on there, and really that is about it. If we find the barrel, let's put it all together. Upside down. That goes on there, that goes on there. It just sitting there. All we need to do now is just find the bazooka plates. Now I'm not going to glue these on because we'll talk in the next video about preparing for paint. getting everything ready to paint. I'll find a way, whichever way round it goes. I think that's that one for there. I'm not going to put, I'll find a way of just securing those temporarily, because we need to take the wheels off, prepare it for paint. Just before we go, I did mention that right at the start of this that there is some texture on the top. All these surfaces around the edge, the whole top of the tank, apart from this sight here, the gunner's periscope here, all has a slight texture to it, a non-slip texture, and here on top of the hull. One way we could achieve that is by using some liquid poly, a brush, and when I can find it, a second brush to apply the texture. It's up to you whether you want to do this part or not. You can practice, there's plenty of places to practice on this tank. First of all, you can do it on the whole bottom, or you can try on the back of the bazooka plate, because if you get it wrong it's not going to be seen and you may think, I don't really like that, I'll leave it as it is. But this is how it's done. Find yourself a piece of plastic, a spare bit of plastic that you're not going to see. This is where you really need the liquid poly. The liquid poly works the best for this. Take some liquid poly and give it a coat. Just give it a coat. What it starts to do then is actually melts the plastic. Don't swamp it, but just put enough on just to give it a good coat. Just leave it for just a few seconds, and then take an old paintbrush, bit of a stubbly hard one is preferable, and then just dab. And you'll see as you start to dab, I don't know if the camera can really pick this up, see the difference in the texture just as the light catches. And that will give an impression of a non-slip surface. Try it, see if you like it. If you don't like it, you don't have to do it. And I'll carry on with this. The next video we'll look at applying some paint. If you're following it along, what we're going to do first is we'll be applying a primer coat. We'll give the whole tank a wash, take the wheels off, split the top from the bottom, take it all down into its sub-assembly parts. As I say, I'll be temporarily gluing that on. We'll be giving it a coat of primer. Best way to do this, if you go out or contact the guys at eModels, they will be able to send you in the post some acrylic spray. This is the primer, Humbrol acrylic. Brilliant for undercoating. In fact, I do have an airbrush, but I often will spray with a rattle can. See the rattle can. I'll give it a whole coat and we'll prepare for painting and get ready for finishing. I think that's about all the build's done now. One or two little bits that we have missed off, we'll recap on those and have a look through the instructions, remind ourselves what's missing, and that's about it. So thanks for watching this part 5. Do go along and have a look at the eModels new website. As of the date of making this video, eModels have just released a new updated and super website. You can find what you want on there. Need any questions or advice, give them a ring, and certainly comment or ask any questions on the end of this video, and we'll get back to you. But thanks for watching again. Hope you're keeping up, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time, and we'll get some paint on this beast. Thanks a lot.